So much has happened over the last 3 days. Fuel tank's out. Today I'm giving it the recondition outside and inside. I found some things rattling around on the inside. First I'll take the sender unit out, then give it a good shake to try and get these things out from the inside. Can't figure out what's in there. Get it in the sunshine, have a look. Haha, now I can see. It's small links of chain, but the overall inside appearance is very nice. They were well made in those days. So, I've got a magnet on a stick. I'm going to have a go at getting the chain out. And I get the chain out, piece by piece. It's not very magnetic, it's stainless steel chain. And here is something else I'm trying to fish out that looks like it's made of brass. I think it's the, yes it is, it's the screen off the end of the fuel pickup. So if I can just get it out, I'll get a more modern fuel strainer and put that on. So I'll just have to hook it up. Right, that can go in the rubbish bin. And the wires! I've pulled out all the nasty ones and I'm left with just what's supposed to be there. I'm going to clean the instruments up today. I've got broken taillight lenses, cracked dashboard, rusty under dashboard panel pieces, rusty rear view mirror, and a crusty parcel tray. So the first thing I'm going to do is strip down this mirror very, very carefully. Take the plastic band off. I've been leaving it in the sun to warm it up and make it more flexible. And like if I can just sneak it off, I've got a wrinkle finish paint which will duplicate the original finish, and I can buzz over it with the wire buff, get all the old paint off and the rust. There we go, done. Right, I'll buff that with the wire buff. And here is the instrument binnacle and the dash panel. They've been headbutted by a burly high country farmer during an accident, I imagine, because there's signs of the vehicle having been in a frontal at some stage, and quite often knees hit the dashboard and faces hit the instrument panel. So you can't buy these things. I've got to use my favourite two-pot glue, JB Weld, to rebuild both these pieces. It's going to be a little bit difficult because where the two bolt together, the screw receptacles have smashed off completely, and down in the corner on both sides it's absolutely gone. I'm going to have to find another piece of plastic. Well, look at this. I went to the op shop and I found for $2.50 a little tray kind of thing in black plastic, the same thickness and the same type of plastic as the instrument binnacle. So I'm going to sand off the nasty bit on both sides, get it down to a straight edge. I love this sander. I've had it for years. I think it's used for so many things. Awesome for sharpening chisels. There we go. Then I'm going to cut this tray down until I've got just the flat base. Here we go. Now I've got a flat piece of plastic, and I can make the patches for these two corners, plus a backing piece, a doubler that can go over and strengthen it from the inside, so that when I put the old JB weld on it, it's got a huge surface area. This is 3 days work. There's a lot to get through, so a lot of the video is going to be in high speed so I can get through things. But you can see now that I'm just making the triangle corner pieces to rebuild the pieces that I've just ground off. I've roughed them up with sandpaper to get a good key, and we'll apply the JB weld, which is an epoxy filler type glue. And I've even heard of this being used on engine blocks. There's a video on YouTube where a guy has a Willys Jeep with a cracked engine block. He welds it up in a conventional way, but to hide the fact that it's been welded up, he dresses the outside of the block with JB weld and makes a lovely job of it. It surprises me that nobody has come up with a cheaper alternative. There are no rip-off JB welds. This seems to be the one and only. So I'll leave that in the sun to dry. On a warm day it takes about 4 hours, but in cooler weather JB weld is an overnight cure. So once that's dry, I'll get back to the sander, sand off the excess and get it back down to the shape it should be. And now I need to attend to these 2 screw mounting points on either side of the dash panel. Not much chance of me repairing it and finding the bits that need to go in to repair it as it used to be, so I'm going to cut those off completely. There's one on each side. And as if by magic, just when I need it. You use 50-50 mix of the black and the white, and you mix them together until they make a grey, and you've got loads of time to work it. It's literally 2 hours until it starts to get a little bit tacky, and it's 24 hours in normal temperature until it's fully set. Now these plastic blocks that I'm putting on here are offcuts of a sheet product that I buy that is just amazing. I use it for all sorts, so even the little pieces get used. There's my interior mirror, refinished in the same wrinkle finish paint that it was when it was brand new 50 years ago, and the repaired instrument binnacle going into the dashboard. I've got a similar mission to do on this tail light. One of the posts that the screws go through has broken off and been lost. So I've got to replicate that post. It's got to be the same length as the other one. I'm going to use an offcut of that plastic board again. I'll cut a little pencil type length. I want to make sure that I get the length exact, so I'm going to get the verniers and just measure up the old one, the distance from the top of it to the edge of the lens, exactly the same. And a quick dash out to the Landy to make sure that there are no clearance problems by making it slightly fatter than the old one. Nope, all good, it clears everything. I can now glue that to the lens. Oh look, more JB Weld. Not that I'm sponsored by them or anything like that, it's just that if you do a lot of restoration and fix-it jobs, you do end up using the best stuff you can get your hands on, and this stuff has always been the best stuff you can get your hands on. Buy me a beer sometime, JB. Okay, I'll leave that to harden. There's one last job that I can be doing. I've got this heavy duty silver foil ducting tape, and it's slightly reflective, being silver foil. The reflector inside the lens has lost its silver backing, so I'm going to find the diameter of what the old reflector used to be, and then divide it in half to get the radius. And then I can scratch a circle out of the tape. And when I cut that circle out and apply it to the inside of the lens, hopefully it will enhance the reflectivity, reflectiveness. Yeah, it'll make it more sparkly, and hopefully save me buying a new taillight lens, because you can't buy just one, it'll make the other one look really shoddy. Now on the screw repair part, the screw head has to sit down onto a flat surface to provide a watertight seal. So I'm going to be using a spade bit, which is a woodworker's tool. You can't use them in a cordless drill successfully because they need to be spun at a very high speed to provide a good finish. So I've wound up the drill press to its highest speed, and I'm just going to generate a flat face. So I'm slowly working down into the JB weld, drilling it away until I just start to break down to where the original red plastic was. Only about a millimetre. There we go. And then I've got to drill a hole through the centre of it so that the screw can go through. So I want a drill of exactly the right diameter. So I get my best drills out, the ones I keep for birthdays and special occasions. Yep, that's the one. So we'll whiz down through the lens with that. And the next job, of course, is to find a suitable screw to match the other one. So we'll pull out the likely candidates off the top. No, most of these are metric. Everything in New Zealand nowadays is made using the metric system. Imperial nuts and bolts are very hard to find in any other country other than America. The rest of the world has gone metric. So then we'll take a big sort through here. Yep, looks like that one will do the job. Bloody excellent. Right, all these others can get put away. Don't need those. Now, the only hassle is that screw that I found had the more modern Phillips type head. So I am going to have to use 2 screwdrivers to remove this right hand lens. Right, what's next? Now, this fabulous handbrake that I've refurbished needs a suitable fabulous boot to keep the dust out. So I went online and had a look, and I could buy one, but hey, what the hell, I've got vinyl and I've got a sewing machine. So all you do is remove the remnants of the nasty rubber one and extrapolate the measurements from it, transfer those to your lovely new vinyl, and I'm figuring that in about 15 minutes I can make myself something that's far nicer than the original one. So I'm going to cut out 2 triangles, roughly, not exactly triangles, they have some little fandanglements on them to form a flange so that I've got something to screw to on the back. Here we go, making the first triangle. That was the centre line that I just drew. So now we'll draw the 2 outside pieces, and I'm going to make 2 of these and sew them together, and then turn them inside out. Well, turn them right side in. I never seem to have the right thread in the sewing machine when I come to use it, so we'll pull the white thread out and we'll put a black bobbin in, and then I need to lubricate it. Just 1 spot of lube each time you change the bobbin makes your machine last for donkey's years. I've had this machine and a couple of others like it for a very long time. So now I'm just threading the top thread through the tensioners. There we go. And then thread the needle. Boom. And then you hold the end of the thread and wind the machine over, and the machine picks up the bottom thread. There we go. Boom. You end up with your 2 tails of thread, and you're ready to start. Now, because the vinyl's a lot thinner than the original rubber one that used to be there, this bezel around the outside won't pull down close enough. So I'm going to glue my new vinyl boot to the remnants of the old rubber boot, and that'll give it a nice thick base. So I've glued it all up. The glue's tacked off, and now we're going to assemble the two together and fit the new boot. Handy having the seams. You can use the seams as a datum. I want one seam exactly at the top, the other seam exactly at the bottom. Now here's a Landrover quirkery. The front of the fuel tank is bolted firmly to the frame. The rear of the fuel tank is only attached by one bolt. Nothing's welded to the actual fuel tank. The fuel tank sits in a skid plate that is rubber bonded to the tank itself. A very clever idea to save the fuel tank fracturing as the chassis twists over off-road terrain. Now I cut a piece out of an old yoga mat, 10mm thick. That's that lime green piece underneath. I've used that as a gasket to stop dust getting up through the hole where the old one was just a little piece of plastic, and a lot of dust had crept into the passenger compartment through the hole where the filler neck comes into the inside of the vehicle. So hopefully this yoga mat will last a long time and will provide me with a good seal. The gilsonite paint that I painted the chassis with a week ago is only just starting to dry, but it's very messy on your hands. Now here I am scraping the old dum-dum off the body joins. It's almost reusable, but I've got stuff in a tube that I'd rather use, so I get a nice seal. So I scrape all this nasty off, re-goop it with the new stuff, and we'll be ready for the new seat base. Well, not a new seat base, we'll be ready for the refurbished seat base to be fitted. These are the door sills, a nice strong galvanised piece. I'm clearing the old dum-dum off that. Here we are, reapplying the new dum-dum along that whole back seam and down into the two sills. The whole idea of dum-dum is to provide a vibration and dust-proof seal for the life of the car. The stuff that I've just taken off was 48 years old, and still doing its job, although it was starting to harden off a bit. So what I'm doing here will be good for another 48 or 50 years. Being aluminium, everything's very light and quite manageable. I'll just hook this over the handbrake, push the handbrake through that lovely new gaiter that I've made, drop it down into position, and I will amuse myself for the rest of the afternoon putting in the numerous nuts, bolts, washers that hold this thing in. It takes quite a while.